you had to be nominated by a faculty member. You went through an application process that was very difficult and complete. And then you had to go through interviews. You had to have at least a 2.75 average to even apply. And then they expected you to be involved in the life of the school. For me, I came from a background. My father had 4th grade education. My mother was a high school graduate. And the domestic work. I went to Morehouse in part because my father met Dr. Mays at a fundraising effort for the Black YMCA in Atlanta. And my dad came home, I was in 9th grade, and my dad said, "Ed, you're not gonna play football. You're gonna get a scholarship to go to Morehouse." Dr. Mays told me, I don't know what the conversation was, but my dad said that Dr. Mays said you could get a scholarship. I was always a good student, but that was the demand. Getting that scholarship, I have to tell you this, my father did not want me to accept it because I was the first in my family to go to college. He wanted me to graduate. And at that time, if you accepted the scholarship, it would have been your senior year, you studied overseas, and then you had to come back for an additional year. And my father wanted me to graduate. We had one small 1-bedroom house. 3 bedroom, one was too small to call a bedroom, but we had 1 bathroom. I got up in the middle of the night knowing that my dad was not really excited about that. And I heard my mother talking to him. And this is what I stayed long enough to hear this. She said, "Joe, you can't tell that boy no. Nobody in our family has ever been overseas except when they had a uniform and a gun. There are doctors and lawyers' children who didn't receive this scholarship. You can't tell him no." The next morning, I stayed, that was about as long as I dared stay. Next morning, my dad, I'm the oldest of 2 boys, he called me the old man. He said, he was getting ready, he sold fruit and produce off the back of a pickup truck. And as he getting ready to go out the door, he turned to me, he said, "Old man, I decided to let you take the scholarship." And he left. I was getting ready to go to the bus stop, but my mother said, no, wait a minute. Before you go, I need to talk to you. She said, first of all, don't bring anything back from Europe you didn't take. And then she said, and don't come back or send a letter talking about you not coming back home. Because if you don't come back, I'm gonna have to leave. That's the background. And I read this one point. You asked a question about the past. You have to remember, the South was still segregated. We had been told, I had lived in New York, but I moved to Atlanta when I was 14 because my father felt he had a better chance. From 14 until I went to Morehouse, we were always told we were less than. No matter how much you had achieved, it wasn't enough to be equal. And so getting the scholarship to go to Morehouse was the first step. But getting the scholarship to go on Merrill was an opportunity for me to see how good I was in a context that was no longer black. I had outstanding classmates. I had been a star in high school. I wasn't a star at Morehouse. I was involved as a president of junior class, president of senior class, junior class and sophomore classes. I played football for 1 year when I was paying the bill. I sang on the Glee Club all 4 years I was at Morehouse. I had an idea that we were good. But in the European context, I found out I could compete with anybody. That if I worked hard and did the right thing, I could achieve on the level with anybody. That was a gift that the Merrill Scholarship gave me, along with a lot of others.
Thank you for sharing that experience.